Do you know that every single municipal corporation have this grievance management system where normal citizens like you and me can log in and can report their grievances. Now these grievances can be as simple as finding a pothole on the road or a street lamp not working, to as serious as having more mosquitoes in your area, or maybe finding out some illegal construction going on. In this video, we are going to create this civic issue management system known as CityShine using Django, Postgres, and Leaflet. This is going to be an amazing and very short video where we will take a practical approach in creating this application. Hi everyone, my name is Krishna Lodha and I welcome you to this series of practical geospatial solutions. For our first video, we are going to create this CityShine application which will help citizens to report the civic issues. Now we have multiple types of users. So we are talking about citizens who can obviously report the local issues as well as track resolution, and also can have a look at what all issues are there in the entire city. Then we have field officers whose job is to verify and resolve the issues and then let citizens know that the issues has been resolved. And finally we have administrator who are there to monitor all the tasks that are being assigned, who are there to monitor all the issues that are being notified by the citizens, and their job is to make sure that everything is running smoothly. If we talk about function requirement, as I said, like you will log in as a citizen by simply putting your username and password, and then you will see a map. So for example, we are going to go ahead with Leaflet. But if you want me to create another video with open layers, Mapbox, MapLibre or anything, please write that down in the comment. Then we will allow user to either drop a pin, or maybe you can just put your own address and then you will get automatically lat long will be picked up based on that. Then you can select a category. Now this can be a single category, uh, either as a garbage, road, water logging, etc, etc. And we want to create this application in such a way that all of this source code is obviously going to be open source. You can always download the source code and better make it better for whatever use case that you have. But we will try to create it in such a way that you can do most of these things. For example, adding new category, removing category, etc. Most of these things you should be able to do directly via admin panel, because if we do that, that means this application can be scaled to whatever level that we want. Then you can add more things like description, maybe upload an image, and then you can track your own complaint. So this can be like when exactly you have reported, whether this complaint was verified, whether something is in progress, and whether something is resolved or not. So for example, in the city that I live in, we have a certain fixed timeline in which every single grievance must be verified, must be reported, and must be resolved. And I think this is very amazing. Like our government is doing a really amazing job by taking these grievances serious. And I think in this particular video we will actually try to also add that thing and see how these grievances are performing. Then we have an admin related application where again you can log in either as an admin or as an officer. You will be able to see all the grievances that are being notified by the citizens, and then you can do various actions as you can see over here. I am really excited to start the programming. And note that this kinds of videos, because for us to keep them short, what we try to do is we also try to use LLMs to help us write the code. Now there is nothing wrong with using LLMs to write the code, but just doing the only vibe coding is also equally harmful. So whenever you pick up these vibe coding tools, I always recommend that you should always know how the code is being created, so that if you need to make any kind of change, you should be able to do that. As I said, the technical stack that I'm going to use is Django for managing our entire application, Leaflet for managing our map application. Alright, now without any further delay, let's get to it. Now the first thing that I will do is I will go to GitHub and I will create a new repository known as CityShine. Django based civic issue management system, and I will put this in my rotten grapes repository. I will keep this as a public because come on, you guys should fork it, you guys should write issues, and you guys should be able to have a look at the code. This is the idea behind this particular web series. Alright, and let me put this as Apache. And there you go, our repository is ready. I will simply clone it on my desktop. Cd desktop, git clone. There you go. I'm using VS Code, and for the LLM, I am actually using Amazon Q, and I found out that Amazon Q is really amazing. In many of my use cases, I use Amazon Q. In some of the use cases, I also use Cursor. Feel free to pick whatever LLM that you prefer. And if you don't want to use LLM, that's also totally fine. But for me, because I want to create this video fast and I want to keep this as short as possible, I will try to use LLMs to write the basic code. Alright, now before we jump into the code, let's go through our problem statement one more time. So we know that we have multiple types of users, which means that the first thing that we need to figure out is the authentication. So if you know Django, you might also be familiar that Django supports GIS functionalities using GeoDjango. And then Django also has this admin panel which you can access if you are a super admin or a staff user. Now in this case, what we will do is we will let users create their account by simply putting username and password. We will not put any kind of email ID or any verification of phone number or anything like that for now, but users can just put their username and passwords, and then they can create their profile. Now while creating a profile, you can put more information about yourself if you want to put it. It's not mandatory. Okay, so the first thing first is we will start a terminal and create a virtual environment. So I will do python 3 -m venv and this will create my virtual environment. Okay, and first thing I will do now is I will not do pip install Django, because I cannot tell you how many hours I have wasted by creating a project, shipping it to the server, and then trying to figure out what all requirements that I have to run this project. And that's why I never do pip install any packages nowadays. What I simply do is I create a requirement.txt file. So I'll do req.txt and I'll put Django over here. Okay, and then I'll always do pip install -r req.txt, and this will install the Django package. For now it's fine, we will not install GeoDjango just now, we will just set up the basic framework first. So the first thing we will do is Django admin start project. Let me take this at the top so that you can read it. So Django admin start project, and let us give it the name CityShine. Okay, so we are inside this folder, and now let's try to create another folder by doing python manage.py start app main, in which we will write the main logic, and then we will create one more for the authentication purpose. So I'll write it as an auth e. Alright, so now we are at a place where our application is created, and the thing that we need to do now is to mention both of these apps inside our installed apps. So I'll just simply write installed apps, and then I will do main and then auth e. Alright, so far so good. Let's try to run this project and see if everything is correct. So I'll do python manage.py run server, and there you go. So far so good. We are able to run our basic Django application, right? Now it's time for us to think about the first thing that we want to do. And always the first thing that I do is take care of the authentication, because once the authentication is set up, it is so much easier for us to create all these apps and then create condition based on different kinds of users. Alright, so the first thing that we will do is we will open now our chat LLM. Okay, and now we will simply say that we have a Django application in which we want to add sign up, login and logout. But I think before that, let us first create at least the home page. Now to keep things simple, I'm simply going to use a bootstrap based application. So let me first create a home page with navbar using bootstrap. Put this in main app and load this page when we go to root URL. Alright, so I'll explain you what we are doing. What we are saying is that we want to run a basic bootstrap page which will obviously have just the navbar to it, and we want to load this when we go to the root URL. That means what all things we have to do? First we have to set up the template, and inside the template we will put this our basic bootstrap template HTML code. Then we will create a view to load that template, and then we will create a URL to load that view, and finally we will marry that main.urls with this CityShine URL. So by doing that, whatever URLs are there in our main app, we will be able to load them in the core application, which is the CityShine. So as you can see right now, it is reading all the directories. So it found the CityShine and the main, and then there is this urls.py which is in a CityShine. So the first thing that it will try to do is try to add the include. Again, I am assuming that you are already familiar with Django. If you are not, then you can just write down to me in the comment saying that don't use LLM, create everything from scratch. So in my next tutorial, I will try to create everything from scratch. Alright, so what it is doing now is it is creating the templates folder, and if you are familiar with Django, templates is the folder where we put all of our HTML files, right? So because it knows that probably we will create more and more pages, what it is doing right now is it is creating this base.html, in which, as you can see, we have couple of things like this navbar, this import of bootstrap, CityShine as the A tag, and then some of these links like home, about, contact, etc. And then as you can see that it already added this block of content, which means that whatever we want to add in this particular HTML, we can just create a new HTML file and put this content inside this block content. Alright, and as you can see over here, now we are just simply extending this base.html, and then we are putting whatever we want to put inside this block of content. Okay, then we created a view for this home.html, then we created a URL for this, and finally, as I said, we included that into the main CityShine URL, and we are done. So now we can try to run the server, and as you can see that we have this CityShine navbar and this entire page which is loaded via bootstrap. So this one is using bootstrap 5.3. At this moment, this entire code is available in the main templates base.html, right? So if you want to change anything, we can just go over here and make the changes. At the moment, this is fine. Now the next page that we want to add is a login and sign up page, and now we can add this. The reason why I added this base nav bar thing first is because now our application or our LLM knows that how exactly we are theming our application, and then it will try to create all this login page, sign up page, everything according to that. Alright, now we are saying that we have a Django application in which we want to add sign up, login and logout. Put the code in auth e app and add relevant URLs in navbar. Okay, so if you are familiar with Django, Django has the inbuilt authentication mechanism, which means that you can bring pages like sign up, sign in, etc. directly from Django, and then you can use them. If you want to customize them, you can also customize them. So for example, right now it was looking for this directory of auth and it was able to find it. And now again the templates are being created, but this time the templates are being created inside this auth e app. Okay, so let's see how the login.html will look like. And this is the reason why I like to always use LLM with the language that I know, is because I can make whatever change that I want to make. So for example, in case of login, it again extended. So as you can see over here, it extended from the main base.html and then it just added the login form. And just like that, the sign up form is also created. Now it is creating the views for us. Now, because we are planning to use the default authentication functions, we will be only using username and password while we are logging in. So as you can see in the login, we only care about username and password. While signing up, we are asking user for username, email, password 1, password 2, because this is a standard way of how Django can help you to sign up. Alright. Then inside views, as you can see that we have created this login view which takes the username and password in the form, and then it uses this authenticate function from this django.contrib.auth, and if the user is authenticated, then we are redirected to the home, and if they are not authenticated, then we are again sent back then we are again redirected back to the login. And in case of sign up, we request user to send the username, email, password via this post form, and then we create the new user over here, and then we redirect the user to the home. And if anything goes wrong, then we actually send user back to this signup.html. Okay, views are created, URLs are added, and then we again included those URLs into our main CityShine URL. Now as you can see, it also made change to the base.html. So let's see what are these changes. So in base.html, you can see that some conditioning is added, which states that if user is authenticated, then only show the logout button. But if user is not authenticated, then show either login and a sign up, both of these buttons. Okay, and as you can see that we are adding this URL, and again remember that whenever you are adding href in Django, you always give the name of the view. So this is the name that you will also find over here. If I go to the URLs of this auth e, this is that name. So if I decide to change it to something like sign in, then I will also have to make that change in my HTML. Okay. Now if I log in, you can see that we got our first error saying that no such table, because now that we are working with the data tables, we will have to do the migration, and this is something that is and this is something that we can do by simply running python manage.py make migrations. By default, Django has this SQLite database available, and we will not change it right now, but we will change it very soon, because as and when we will start working with the geospatial data, we will move our database to PostGIS. Okay, and now we will do migrate, and once the migration is done, as you can see that all of these migration changes are applied, and now it's time for us to run our application one more time. So I will do python manage.py run server, and as you can see it is running on localhost 8000, and now I have this login and sign up button. When I go to sign up, it shows me a pretty standard form. Again, if you want to make any kind of UI based changes, you can do that. If you want to drop Bootstrap, go ahead with Tailwind or something like that, that's totally up to you. And let me try to put some information like the username. I will put it as Krishna G Lodha. I will put email as krishna@rottengrapes.tech, the password, and sign up. And as you can see that it tells me that my account is created successfully. I'm not sure if logout will work. Let's see. It looks like logout is working fine, so that's amazing. So now I can just log in, and you can see that I'm getting the text that says that you have been logged in successfully. What happens if I screw up this process? So let's say if I decide to put same username again. As you can see that it gives us the error saying that username exists. If I decide to change the username, but if I decide to mess up the password, you see we are getting the appropriate errors. And these are all handled with this code that this LLM has created. If you want to understand what all things are happening, you can just go to this sign up view. And as you can see over here, each one of these conditions have the error written over here, which is essentially loaded when you go to that particular page. So if you want to change that, you can just change that over here. So I can put this exclamation mark, and now if I stop the server and start it again, and now if I decide to screw up my password, you see that the exclamation mark is over here. So it means we can control everything that is happening right now. Alright, now that the user is created, it is time for us to extend this user and allow us to add the role to it. And as we discussed our plan of action, we have citizens, field officers and administrators. So let us try to extend that. So I will say that extend user model to allow selection of profile, or let's say role. Role can be citizen, field, staff and officer. By default, keep role as citizen. Okay. So now what we are doing is we are simply extending the existing Django user model to allow us to also add this particular role thing into it. And we are saying that by default keep this role as a citizen. So it will extend the existing user model. Okay. This is possible in Django, but there are few things that we have to take care of whenever we are extending the user model. Like for example, we also have to mention this in our settings.py file. So as you can see over here, we extended this basic user model and we renamed it to user profile, and we have just added this role choice, right? Because that's the only thing that we want to do at the moment. And now the next thing it is doing is it is also adding this role type in the sign up form. Now this might not be something that we want to do, so we will let Django know about it. But at the moment, let's see if it works. Okay. And now for us to see whatever these users are being created, we will have to create a super admin user who can log into the admin panel. Now how do we do that is we simply stop the server and then we run the command python manage.py create super user. I will give it a name as Krishna. I will not give any password. I will not give any email, and I will put the password. Yes. And as you can see, our LLM is also telling us to migrate, and let's do the migration then. Okay, so make migration, and as you can see that our model of user profile is created, and then we will migrate. Okay, and now when we run our server, as you can see that nothing is changed over here. But now I can go to the admin panel and I will use my Krishna account that I just created, and as you can see that we can now see our user profiles, and at the moment there is no user profile, but there are two users. So let's first create the user profile. Okay, and now let's say if we create a new user, so let me go to the application and click on sign up. Let's give it a name, Nilesh, gmail.com. Okay, and let's say if I select the role as a field staff. If I sign up, my account is created. Let me log out and try to sign up as an admin. And as you can see, you have new user, and under profile you also have a new profile which states that this particular user is part of a particular this field officer or field staff role, right? So this is how we can let user create the role. Now as we discussed, probably it's not good idea to let anyone who wants to sign up kind of like select their role, right? Because then anyone can just sign up as a officer or a field staff. This is not something that we want to do. So what we will do now is we will just remove that. So we will say that we don't want to select role from sign up form. Keep all roles as citizen by default. And if you want to make any change, we can always go to the admin panel and make the change, right? So now what it will do is it will remove that role thing from the sign up form, and it will directly assign the role as a citizen inside the sign up view. So by doing that, we will not ask for the role in the form. So as you can see, we have omitted this role thing because we are obviously also keeping the default role as a citizen when we define the model, right? So when we define the model, we already said that by default keep the role as a citizen. So that means if I don't pass anything, automatically citizen will be selected. As you can see that now we are not using this role thing, and then we also remove that from the signup.html, which means that if I look at my form now, there is no role. So if I create one more account, okay, I can sign up, and if I go to my admin panel, the user profile says that this new user is a citizen. If I want to change anyone, I can obviously change it from my admin panel, but for now whoever signs up will automatically by default will become the citizen. Okay, this is about signing up. So let me now sign up as a normal citizen. So let me just log in with the account that I just created. Now that the sign up and login has been taken care, I'm thinking that we should have cards which will allow user to easily click on the card and do a functionality. For example, we can have a big card which says that register a grievance, and then it will go to a page where the grievance can be registered. Then there can be another card which states that all your grievances history. Then maybe you can have a card that says that open a GIS view, something like that. So now it's time for us to think about this. So first thing we want to do is we want to kind of like create all the types of grievances that can be there, which means we only need a model where we will store the types of the grievances. So again, I can either create the model or I can ask LLM to do it. And instead of just chatting over here, I can just put command I and I can also type it over here. So I will say that, okay, create a model where all types of civic issues will be stored. I don't know how it will show the result, but let's see. So Amazon queue is generating. And there you go. So it created this module without thinking about the entire code. Now this created this model, but as you can see that it totally forgot that we already have user and we want to use that user for the reporter's information. And that's exactly is the main difference by simply using command I and asking LLM to generate something. versus asking this chat to generate something, because this chat considers the entire project whenever it is executing something. So for now I will not accept this model, but I will ask my chat to do it. So I will say that in main app create model in which I can store various types of civic issues. Later these types will be referred by another model in which we will register complaints from users. Okay, so at the moment we are only asking it to add this model where we can add various types of civic issues, that's all. So probably I think it will create things like, yeah, like a name, description, and whether this type of issue is active or not. If you want to add more things, probably like a uh, icon or maybe an image or something like that, you can do that. Okay, so it is adding this model, it is adding this model, and then it is also registering this to the admin. Okay, let's try to do migration, because whenever we make any kind of database related change, we should always migrate and go back to the server. Now if I go to the admin panel, you will see that this user who is a citizen is not a super user, so this guy cannot log in to the backend. Now we have this issue type and we can mention couple of issue types. I'm not going to do that right now because I want to change my database now. If I write anything in this and if I change the database, all my efforts will be wasted. So I don't want to do that right now. Now we want to create another model in which the actual grievances would be stored. And now before we do that, we have to take an important decision, that is to switch to the database. Django supports various databases. It supports MySQL, SQLite, Postgres, etc., etc. And also these all of these kinds of databases also have a geospatial module to it. So MySQL also supports geospatial data, SQLite also supports geospatial data, Postgres also supports geospatial data. Personally, I like to work with Postgres PostGIS because it allows us to extend the capacities and capabilities and do various kinds of processes and functions on the database. You can do things like stbuffer, stwithin, as well as you can expose the data using stgeogem as text, etc., using PostGIS, and that's why I absolutely love PostGIS. Now it's time for us to move our database and add relevant settings to our settings.py file to make this GeoDjango related application. Now to do that, I have already installed Postgres into my machine. So as you can see that I already have pgadmin. Let's say in your case you don't have pgadmin, you can either download the Postgres or you can simply use the Docker. And just a side note, I am launching an interesting course on Postgres PostGIS, which is going to be a killer course where I will take you through the journey of understanding Postgres all the way from installation till putting the database into production. We will have a look at various extensions that are available for Postgres and PostGIS, as well as we will see how do we expose the PostGIS data using modern WebGIS tools and consume it into the mapping library. If you are interested for the course, make sure that you visit to the link given in the description and register your interest. Okay, now that we go back to our database, as you can see that I have a locally running database of Postgres version 15. At the moment it's not running, so let us make it workable. So to do that, I will find out where is my pgctl file. So I will do which pgctl, and there you go. And now I will simply run pgctl start, and this will start my Postgres. As you can see, our server is started, and now I can go inside my Postgres. I will create a new database known as CityShine. Okay, and I will install PostGIS extension to it. It is very important to install PostGIS extension, otherwise you will not be able to store your geometry data. So create extension PostGIS. Okay, we are done. Now it's time for us to ask Amazon Q to make all the changes. So now we will say that change database to use PostGIS with local Postgres of following configuration. So our host is localhost, password is Postgres, user is also Postgres, and the table is CityShine. Okay, let's try to do it one by one. So first we will only make the change in settings.py, and let's see if our LLM is smart enough to figure out that because it is a PostGIS, we also need to add this django.contrib.gis into the settings.py. Now it's time for us to connect to this correct database and then start putting the data into it. Okay, as you can see that it opened this settings.py file, and now it is updating that. You can see that it added this django.contrib.gis. So that's very smart because we mentioned PostGIS, it already assumed that you are going to deal with geometry data. So it added this django.contrib.gis, and in the database setting, as you can see, we are now using PostGIS. In the requirement.txt, it added this psychopg2 binary, because in order for us to use Postgres in Django, we need to add this psychopg2 binary. And now it is also creating a SQL. Now this is something that probably we don't need, but it just created this for us. This is to state that create a database with the name CityShine and then install the extension of PostGIS. This is something that we have already done, so we don't need this. But we certainly need to install the psychopg2 binary package. So again we will do pip install -r req.txt, and looks like we are good. So now that we have changed the database, we will have to do the migration again. So python manage.py make migrations, python manage.py migrate, and python manage.py create super user. This time I will simply give the name K. Alright, and now it's time for us to run our server again. There you go. So if I try to do KK, you can see that I can log in, and obviously there are no users, there are no user profiles, nothing. So let's see whether we can create new user profile. So I will go to localhost 8000, sign up, let me give it the name city1, city1@gmail.com. And there you go, we were able to create new account. And if I go to my admin panel, as you can see, this city1 user is available to us. Okay, and all the relevant tables are now available in our PostGIS. So if you want to ever check out, you can check out this. For example, in the auth user, you will see that we have two users. The one which is the super user, that is the username K, and then another one which is a city1 that we just created. Okay. Now it's time for us to add this grievance related stuff. Okay. So we will say that add new model in main where registered user can add new issue. Pull the issue from the list of issues. Then add title add optional description, optional photo, and map to map location of center. Alright, so we are now adding a new model to register the complaint or the issues by the users. Okay, that means we will be heading towards the main dot models. And first thing it did now is it added this media and static path. Now why media path? Because we mentioned that we are also interested into storing the photos. Photos in Django are generally stored in the media folder. Okay, and with photos we have to install a new package known as pillow. So again, if you know how do we do it, we simply go to requirement.txt and we do pip pillow. Okay, I will let the code finish first and then I will start making the changes to it. So at the moment what it is doing is it is now creating this issue. It somehow just created a status choice. This is something that we will change with issue type, I think, which is correct. Yeah. So issue is there, then the status choice, whether it is pending, in progress, resolved, closed, title, description, photo, location, created at, updated at, and the user. Looks like the application is correct. Then it also created a form for us. Now you can see that for the location we have this point field using this OSM widget of map width of 800 and map height of 500, and then apart from that we have issue type, title, description, photo, and location. So these are all the things that we need, right? Then we created a view for create issue where either you will show the form or you will post the form. And when you post the form, it will take all the information as well as files. It will verify the form and then it will add the request.user, meaning that whoever is logged in will be added in the views and then the issue will be reported. And then for each issue, this primary key would be created. Now it is creating this create issue.html. So it already figured out that okay, because we have model, because we have view, because we have form, we obviously will also need the HTML page. And this is exactly what is created in this particular HTML. Okay, then you have issue detail. Amazing. So it is also taking care of adding this issue detail.html. You can see that we are getting some issue on this admin.py. Let's see what exactly happened on admin.py. So we added this OSM geoadmin and it is saying that it does not exist. So again, it's not like everything that LLM will write is going to be correct all the time, and sometimes as you can see things like this happen, but don't worry, we can always go to Google and ask for this. And as you can see that starting from Django 5, this class is removed. So you will have to use something like this. So django.contrib.gis.admin import GIS model admin. And to make that change, I will have to go to the admin.py and then change it over here. I hope this will work. Let's see. Looks like everything is done and it is asking us to first install pillow. Let's see if the pillow is in our req.txt. It is there. So it's time for us to install it. So pip install -r requirement.txt. Then the next thing we want to do is make migration so that this new model is created. Next thing is migrate, and then we are ready to run the server again. And now you see we have this report issue available over here. When I click on it, it is showing me a form. Right now the form does not look good at all, but don't worry, we will fix that just in a moment. Issue types is drop down, but it is empty because we don't have any issue types. So let's go to our admin panel and add some issue types. Maybe in the future we will allow admin or field staff to be able to add these issues or remove or do CRUD operations on these types of issues from the UI itself, but for now we will do it with admin. So I'll go to issue type and add few issues, like for example potholes found on roads and nearby, stray animals wandering on roads, societies and urban premises. Okay, street lamp broken, so either lamp is broken, not working, etc. And then we can have illegal construction. Anyone who is doing construction without permit. Okay, so we have added 4 issues. I think for now it's okay. Now when I go to my application, you will see that this form is now populated with those 4 things, and I can select one. I will say that I see 5 dogs. There are 5 dogs next to my society, and we can always find the photos of stray animals. So stray dogs, there you go, save image, and now I can upload the image. Okay, there is a issue that the map is not shown. Let's see why the map is not shown. When you go to this control panel, or let's say the inspect panel, you will see that we are getting the error that says that OL is not defined, which means that on this page this open layers is not imported, and which is something that you can see, like there is no open layers import related script tag or link tag available. So this is something that we need to fix. At the moment, if I try to submit this, it will not submit because it is missing that location information, right? So in order for us to do that, what we can do is we can go to our create issue, and maybe in our base template itself we can add the link for this CDN of OpenLayer. So I will go to openlayers.org, get the code, and just simply put both of these CDNs over here. Okay, and now if I try to renew this, you can see that we are getting the error that says that map widget is not found. So let's see what's going on over here. So in the form you can see that we are using this OSM widget. So let's see that what exactly is the issue with it. So I'll try to search for map widget not found. Meanwhile, we will also search on Django form widget for map. Okay, maybe this will also give us the idea. So we can just import the form and then do OSM widget. I think this is something that we are already doing. I think then the problem is not with the form, but the problem is with showing it in the template. I think it fixed some things. Let's see if the issue is resolved or not. So what it is doing now is it is creating this custom OSM widget with GIS dash openlace.html, where it will pass this ol.js, ol.css, and then it will create that template and it will put that openlace.html file inside that. And by doing that we can always also control this file. So if you want to use any kind of our own custom base map or something like that, we can do that. So it is creating this openlayers.html. And there you go, it created this HTML. I'm not sure if it will work or not, but yeah, we can try it out and see. So now you can see that we have the map. So what it is doing now is that it is essentially storing the lat and long, but we certainly don't want to store the lat and long, we want to store the location. So what it is doing now is that in the form it is actually asking for latitude and longitude, which is done in this form, and then it is creating the point on the fly using this form, and then that data is being stored into the database. So this is a clever approach. So we are able to use this application to set the location as well as to put all the other things. And as you can see that when we change the latitude and when we change the point, the latitude and longitude is also changed. So now you can put the photo, you can put the lat long. So because I want to create this in Nasik, so I will put any particular lat long in Nasik, for example over here, and then I will click on submit. Now it is giving the error that says that null value in location is relay. Now it is giving the error saying that null value in column of location of relation main issue, which means that this lat long is not getting converted correctly into the point. I think the easy way for us to do this is to go to the models and make this location as blank null true. And by doing that, what it will do is it will allow us to hit that save call essentially. So I'll do migrate and then run server. And now if you can see, when we continue, you can see that our issue has been reported successfully. Right now it's not showing, but that's okay, we can fix that. We will fix this with the correct mapping thing. But at the moment, as you can see that our issue is been created. So we have created a issue with the title, reported by whom, at what date, what type, what description, if there is a photo, and the location. If we go to admin panel, let's see if we are able to capture all the information correctly. So as you can see, we have user, we have issue type, we have title, we have description, but we don't have location. So location is still a missing picture into this entire thing, and we need to make sure that the location is being added. Okay, so we'll go to the forms and we will see what's happening. So we will let the Amazon queue know that the location is not being updated correctly. location is not being saved correctly. So what it is doing is that even though it is adding this location in the clean data, it's not hitting that correctly. So as you can see now, what it will try to do is it will try to also add that location using the form. So now in the form, what we do is we save the instance, we take the lat long, and then we create the location on the fly and then commit it. So by committing it, we are actually saving it. Okay, and now it is updating that issue detail.html which we talked about where the map was not shown, and hopefully now the map will be shown. Meanwhile, if we go on site and if we report a new issue, potholes, big pothole near my house, and let's say I will select the location as this, submit, and now as you can see the location is being saved successfully. We are able to create this issue, we are able to see our issue, right? So we can go to the issues tab now in the admin panel, and big pothole near my house, and as you can see the lat long is stored. You might face this issue in the admin panel stating that the lat long is shown somewhere on the in the ocean, and that is because the issue is with the projection. This map is being projected in EPHE 3857, whereas the map that we see on our home page is being projected in 4326. So now let us change the projection. Change projection of map that is shown for issues in admin panel to EPHG 4326. Okay, so the SRID is 4326. Change SRID of Django admin panel map. Okay, it looks like we have to do collect static. Alright, now it's time for us to add a couple of more pages on the UI, because so far we are only able to report the issue. So let's say that on home page create cards for first, report new issue, second, check all reported issue by logged in user, third, check map of all issues by all users. Okay, so let's try to do that, and we will say that use bootstrap icons so that it will look a bit better. Okay, it is updating the page. So on our home page now we will have more functionality so that we don't need to rely on the nav bar for the entire thing. Cool. Looks like it has added interesting cards, and it is also taking care of whether the user is logged in or not, because if the user is not logged in, of course we cannot show any issues. And because we asked it to create maps and all, now it will also create these issue maps. So as you can see, my issue reverse is not found, so it is now creating all of these views and URLs and everything like that. So now you have this my issues, which means only showing the issues filtered by the user, and then you have issue map where all the issues are being shown. So you see, welcome to CityShine, and this looks quite good, right? So you have report new issue, my reported issues, and then issue map. So when you will click on report new issue, you will go to the same map that we were seeing. One thing that I would like to change in this map is that when I go over here, it should automatically take my current location, because not all the time I am going to select the location, and because this is something that we are creating only for a municipal corporation, it's hardly that you will be interested into putting the location which is outside of this, like the corporation limit. So yeah, I mean, there are few things that certainly we can fix. So when we go to my reported issues, you see that we have this table which will show the title, show the type, the status, date reported, and then when you click on a view, then you will actually see your issue. Okay, and I'm interested also to see the map. And now when you click on it, you will see that big pothole near my house, type, status, and view status. Now, this one looks like a color that is given as a red, but we can change this. So, I'm thinking maybe I will add a couple of filters to this map. So, let's see, this is something that I want to do right now. Okay, it is adding all of these issues as we are going forward. Okay, so let's say that on map, on issue map page, add filters as following. So let us allow users to filter by issue type first, right? And then maybe issue status, and probably also to and from and to dates to allow users to see issues added within certain dates. Okay, so this will add couple of interesting functionalities, and this can certainly help us to analyze, how many of these different types of issues that are there, what are different statuses of the issues that are there, and then from and to dates will allow us to also take it to one level, one next level, where we can also fine grain the issues. So as you can see, it is now adding various types of filters. So it will allow you to filter based on issue types. My idea would be not to load all the issues and then try to do the filtering, because it will not make any sense. Why to load all the data and then kind of like filter it again, you know. So there you go, our cards with various kinds of these filters are available. Alright, now if we go to the issue maps, you will see that we have filters. We can filter only for potholes, we can filter for street lamps, and as you can see, the data is gone. We can look for stray animals, again the data is gone. If we look for potholes, you see that we have the result. If we try to search for in progress, again everything is gone. So maybe it will be an interesting idea to also allow us to see the count, right? And maybe we can also change the colors, right? So let us add some dummy data first. So I will say that street lamp broken, bulb is missing, you know, and yeah, maybe now it's good time for us to add current location when we go to the issue create page. So when we are on issue create, automatically fetch current location. We can also take it one step further where we can ask user to type the address and then go to that particular location. Let's also try to implement that. Okay, and now if we try to go to this application, allow while visiting the site, unfortunately mine is turned off, so let me try to turn it on. And let me turn it on for Chrome. Where is Chrome? There you go. So location fetch successfully. As you can see that my current location is shown over here. This is amazing. So I will say that illegal construction, sheds constructed. I will say metal sheds on farmland. And then my location is obviously fetched automatically. Submit. There you go. So now we have various kinds of requests being submitted. Let's try to submit any sample requests. So I'll just put any random stuff now. I will not pay to like close attention to it. So broken street light. Okay, we I think have enough information. I think something went wrong with that photo. I thought that that photo will work, but yeah, the format was not something that we expected. Even WebP probably will not work. Let's see if we can get a PNG or JPEG or something. Okay, maybe I can just take a screenshot and then use it. We don't have to waste time for this. Okay, now we have couple of issues available. So when I go to the issues, you can see that I have multiple issues available, and I can also see all of those on the maps, right? So you can see I have multiple issues. I have a issue over here, pothole near my house. This one, too many potholes, stone thrown at lamp, and sheds construction. So now you can see that these are multiple various kinds of problems that are being reported over here. So this is good for a citizen. Citizen can report new issues, citizen can see all of the issues that they have reported, and citizen can also see the maps with all the issues. Citizen obviously can also check like how many are pending, how many are done, etc, etc. Now let's try to create some functionality for the field officers. When field officers when field staff will log in, show them map of all issues along with filters. So I think field officers will have the similar kind of map. So like they can also do filtering and that kind of stuff. So let me copy it from here. But one thing that they can do is, when they will click on icon, show them an option to update the status. Okay, because they are the one who will be on the site and they will be updating the status. So let's say field officer will see an issue, then they will go on site, they will fix the issue, and then they will just update the status saying that this is done. So that way they can do it on the map. Same they can also do from table. So let them either do it by map or by table. Also show username of who has reported the issue. Okay, so now we are talking about the field stuff. So we are I would say at the second phase where we are interested into field stuff. While this is happening, let's have a look at what exactly is happening in the create issue code. So in create issue, we are starting a OSM map, then we are creating an OL map, then we are putting a lat long, then we are creating a vector layer, and over here we are defining that the fill is going to be red whilst the stroke is going to be white with the width of 2. Now if you want to change this, you can change it based on the feature, because we have multiple types of issues and we have multiple types of statuses. So if you want to kind of like create a system where you want multiple issues to be shown with multiple fill color or even multiple radius of circle, etc., you can do that. You can just mention that style over here, stating that whenever a new data is being added, for example whenever a new feature is being added, also add the type of the issue, and then based on that you can change the color. Then what we do is we are setting the location. So while setting up the location, we are setting up the map, but also we are setting up the labels, because this latitude and longitude is what goes into the forms.py, which is then used to create the point data. Right, so this is exactly how we create the issue. And now we are creating a new thing for the field staff. So field staff dashboard. So when the field staff will log in, then we will load this dashboard. Okay, so looks like everything for the field staff is implemented. It's time for us to check it out. So the first thing that we will do is we will create a field staff account. So I will do sign up field 1. And remember that every single person is a citizen by default. So if you want to change someone's profile, we will have to go to the admin panel. So admin, and then user profile field, and let's change this to field stuff. Okay, now let's log in with the field stuff account. So login field 1. Now as you can see, when you log in as a field staff, you have staff dashboard. So you see staff dashboard, issue map and issue table. So when you go to staff dashboard, you can see things as a map view or as a table view. Now over here, you obviously have the capacity to also filter the same way how we were filtering on the user table. So now I can only see potholes. So I can see 2 potholes. One is over here. So type is pothole, reported by K, status is pending. Type is too many potholes, reported by K, status is pending. And when we click on view detail, this is where we will see that detail. Okay. And if I want to update, let's see if I can update. So I will go over here and I will say that I want to move this to in progress. And as you can see, the color is changed. That is amazing, right? Because this is what we were talking about. So let's see how exactly this is happening. So when we select the model, When we select status and when we look at this network tab, you see that when we hit this save, we are hitting this update status with the resolved status and the CSRF middleware, and then it takes this issue number and then updates it. And now you can see that this issue is been updated successfully, and that is exactly why you will see this in a green color. Similar to that, if we go to the table, I believe we will be able to also change it from over here. So I can change it from pending to, let's say, in progress, save, and now this is in progress. If I go to staff dashboard, issue map will go to the map view, whilst the issue table will go to the table view. So this is how we can use this field staff to actually keep the staff operations easy. Now you can see that we are showing the colors based on the statuses. So there are two which are I believe pending, then one is in progress, and then one which is in a resolved, that means in a green color. And this is amazing, right? So now we are able to, as a field staff, we are also able to kind of like change the information or update the data. If I were to check whether this from and to date is working, let me try to see that. And as you can see that there are absolutely nothing reported one day prior to when we are shooting, so obviously we are not seeing anything. But if we change it to something like 20th and we look for all the resolved ones, so you'll see that this one is resolved, and that's why you are seeing it like that. Now there are few things that I want to do as a staff, right? I want to be able to change it, but I want to do it in such a way that the audit is being maintained, that when exactly this is happening. And also I want to kind of like see the urgent tasks. So how do we define the urgent tasks? So you can think about it. If you remember, I mentioned that once the task is added to the system, we have to report it, and we have to change the status from, let's say, pending to in progress to resolved within the given stipulated time. So for example, all the tasks which are, let's say, added 2 days prior to today, which means it's almost there, like it's almost 48 hours will be finished for those tasks. It's important for us to take a look at those tasks at a priority. That means we need to have some kind of mechanism where we can say that, okay, show me all the tasks which are added within last 48 hours, or show me all the tasks which are added within last 24 hours. So now let's try to also add that filtering type. So which means we want to add filtering type where it is not just from date but also based on the time. So we will say that in filter, allow user to pass dates, time along with the dates. Okay. So in field stuff, we have map view, we have table view, we have filtering. And I think the last thing that now we need to do before we wrap up this project is to actually focus on the admin panel. Now before we jump into the admin panel, I would like to create some dummy data so that we can have multiple data available in our data set, so that it will also make sense, we can see stuff happening. Now to do that, I will quickly create some dummy accounts. I will do city2 city2@gmail.com. and maybe create one more account. There's something wrong, so let me try to do it again. There you go. Yeah, we're able to create few accounts. Now what I want to do is I will just go to ChatGPT and I will ask ChatGPT to create some dummy this issues for me. So for each issue we have a issue type. So let's try to see these issues in our uh, Postgres table. So let me refresh it, issues, and let me try to see some issues. Okay, so now you can see that we can give any kind of title, we can give any kind of description. Photo, let's forget about photo. Maybe we will add some location, like a random location in and near Nasik. Status will always be pending, right? And created at would be a random type. And then issue type ID will be either 1 2 3 4, and then user ID can be 1 2 or 3. I think this is the users that we have added. So let me first create this insert query. So I will do insert, and let me pull this on ChatGPT. Create some random values for me to add in following SQL query. Okay, so my query, obviously we have to get rid of ID. So there is no ID, and let's say that okay, title, put any issue title, description optional, so put if you want. Let's forget about photo, let's put location, point near Nasik, India. Status would be always pending, so status is going to be pending. Created at, put dummy past date and time of max 1 month. We don't need updated at. Issue ID, put random number between 1 to 4. User ID, random between 1. Let's see how many users we have. So we have 5, and I think only this 3 number is filled. So we can say that okay, put anything between 2, 4 and 5. So 2, 4 and 5. Okay, create, let's start with 10 values. Okay, this looks good. Alright, let's try to add this and see what do we get. And it states that updated at is also needed. Let's see the definition in the models. So updated at, let's put updated at is blank null true, and do make migration, migrate, run server. Okay, let's try to run this. And description, I thought description was blank null true, so let me also try to put that as a blank true null true. Migration, migrate, run server, and there you go. So now we have 10 entries. Let's try to see this on the map. So we'll go to our home page, And as you can see, three issues are reported by this particular user, and if we go to the issue map, you will see now we have multiple issues going on. We have various types of issues available on the map. This is interesting, right? And as you can see that when you log in, now you can also search based on the dates and the time. So this is interesting. Now if we log out, we can log in as a field staff. So field 1 and issue map, and let's say everything that is added from 16th 00 till 18th 00. Apply, and as you can see there are 4, out of which one is in progress, 2 are pending and 1 is done. So if it is done, then that's good. Let's see what was added from 2nd till 7th and still pending. Okay, there are 3 tasks which are added long back and they are still pending. So this means we need to first take care of this. So we'll do in progress, and then which means that this task is being taken care. We'll do this as resolved, meaning that this task is resolved. Okay, like that. So now it's time for us to move to the last module, and that is the admin. So now we will see that when admin will log in, no, when officer account will log in, account will log in, show cards for dashboard, where officer can filter similar to field staff, show another card as analytics, on click of which show a line chart, or maybe show a pie chart, or let's say show following charts. Following charts. So what all charts do we want to see? Let's say we want to see charts based on let's say pie chart showing types of issues with count, another pie chart where user can select issue and then show chart based on count of status. Let's start with this. We will then see what all we can add. We can certainly add more charts, like maybe we can show a line chart, bar chart or something like that, but I just want to show you this so that at least you will get a idea regarding like how exactly we can add this. Just like how we created view for citizen and for field staff, we will just create one more view for the officer. And again, my whole idea of this project is to show you that how exactly you can use something like Amazon Q and Django and Postgres, and then create these kinds of applications. So we can certainly improve this to a very good level. For example, we can add more things like analytics, auditing, etc. And if you want me to add any particular module to this particular project, please write that down in the comment, and I will certainly would like to have one more video on the same topic in the near future, where we will extend this application to also create a mobile app. During mobile app, we will use an interesting technology that we also use at Rotten Grapes a lot, which is a Ionic framework. So Ionic allows us to create a hybrid mobile application where you can sign up, you can click photos, you can get your location, and then essentially submit those locations. So if you are looking for a brief video about creating a mobile application for similar use case, please write that down in the comments. Let's see where we are. So as you can see, view is been created, and let's have a look at the view. So we have officers dashboard, where once the user is logged in, we are getting all the issues. Then we are sorting the issues by the status or the issue type or the dates. And finally, we are getting back all the data. Then we have another page as analytics, where we are getting the issues and then we are showing it in the analytics.html. We are also allowing officers to update the issue status. So this is also something that is there. So this we can understand when we log in as an officer. Now what we will do is we will just create this admin user that we have as an officer. Okay, so I will just log in with the admin user, and then I'll just create a profile for the user. So I'll say profile officer. You might hear some background noise because it's raining over here and it's almost midnight. So we will see if we can remove this noise during the post production. That's fine, otherwise I'm really sorry about it. And now as you can see that when we log in as an officer, we have officers dashboard where we can do the same thing, like we can just look for a particular type of issues and the particular status, and then we will only see, for example, issues with that type, and then we can always go to the analytics. So for example, as you can see that right now we are seeing the analytics of all the issues that are being reported. So we have 5 of potholes, 3 of street lamps, 3 of illegal construction and 4 of stray animals. And then based on the analytic that we select, as you can see that for the potholes we have 3 pending, 1 resolved and 1 in progress. For stray animals we have 3 pending and 1 resolved. For street lamps we have again pending and in progress. Illegal construction we have everything pending. So we have 3 issues, all of these are pending. So this is how we can also create the analytics for whatever use case that we want to do. So so we can always again, like we can add analytics. So I think we are using chart.js into this particular use case, but if you want to add any more analytics we can do that. So that's a lot that I wanted to actually show you guys, and this is certainly not the end of this particular project, but I would say that this is more like a beginning, because what I wanted to do with this video was to set up the basic framework. If you want me to create another video of the same topic where we take care of the production settings of the application, move application into the PWA, meaning that a progressive web app, so that when you open this site on a web application you can also download it as a mobile app, or like you can save it as a mobile app onto your mobile, so that you don't have to go to the website. You can just visit this particular app from your app drawer. If you want me to add more functionalities to it, all of these things, I am reading your comments and I will certainly improve on it. Please let me know in the comments below if you found this video useful, and if you want to download ebooks which are available for free of cost, or want to visit and see our webinars which we have conducted into the past, please check out the description. I hope you like this video, and before I end this video, what I am going to do is I am simply going to put all of these things what we created into the GitHub. So I will just call it as init, and then you can just access this information. So you have the req.txt which will help you to install, and let me just also improve the readme. So improve readme.md file. So this way, if you visit on this particular page, that is Rotten Grapes Private Limited /CityShine, you will be able to read it and understand what exactly we are doing in this project. So I have updated readme as well. If you want me to cover any particular feature, please fork it and please raise the issues. I would be more than happy to add new features to it and maintain this one particular city civic issue management dashboard. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in the next one.